All right, here we go. We have Dee Jay Daniels, who's best known for his role of DL Hughley's son on the show The Hughleys, but has a very interesting story after the show ended. And we're going to get into all that. But, this is your first time here, so I really want to get into your whole story. So, you grew up in California?
Yeah.
Okay, so I guess you were born in Montclair?
Yeah, I was born in Montclair Hospital.
Okay. And what city did you grow up in?
Well, actually, after I was born, we were staying in Compton at that time.
Mm-hmm.
We just happened to be in the IE, so I was born in Montclair Hospital. But we ain't never stayed nowhere in Montclair. We never had no address, no streets, or nothing like that. So right after the hospital, we went back to Compton, when we stayed on occasion.
Okay. And what was your upbringing like in Compton?
Pops moved me out real quick. I was like 2, and he moved us to the IE, Rancho Cucamonga.
Okay. With the whole acting thing, because you're a child actor,
Yeah.
At what point did you feel like, I'm going to take this seriously? And before you answer that, was it something that you wanted to do or something that your parents pushed you into?
Nah, it was the parents, you know what I'm saying? I'm just a
Okay.
little kid.
Yeah.
They asked me if I wanted to act. I'm like, yeah, let's do it. And then they actually pushed me. And they would get up, take me to auditions, all that. They got my manager and all that. And boom, took off.
Okay. Your first role, was that Grace Under Fire?
Dang. I think it was a Honey Nut Cheerio commercial.
Okay.
But yeah.
Right around that same time.
Yeah.
Okay. And once you started doing that, were you like, okay, this is what I'm really going to do?
Yeah, but I still didn't take it like that because I was just a little kid. It was
Yeah.
regular to me.
Like, how old were you when you first got that commercial?
5.
5 years old.
5,
Okay.
6.
So you're barely even talking, really. Like,
Yeah, so to me that was regular.
okay. So you get the Honey Nut Cheerio commercial. You're doing the Grace Under Fire. And then was In the House. Was that your first, sitcom role?
Yeah.
All right. And that starred LL Cool J, Debbie Allen, Maya Campbell, Alfonso Rivera, and Kim Wayans.
Yeah, that's when it got serious.
Okay.
That's when I was like, oh.
All right. And you were how old at the time?
I can't even really remember. Probably like 3rd grade, maybe 2nd or 3rd grade.
Okay. Still a little kid.
Yeah.
So, were you a LL Cool J fan at the time?
Hell yeah.
Okay. So here you are with this, a lot of people know LL Cool J for the acting, but really for anyone older, he's one of the best rappers out there.
Right.
Superstar rapper.
Pops had a Trans Am, and Pops would be in Compton slapping LL everywhere.
Okay. Any interesting stories from your time on In the House?
I think I was too young to even know interesting stories like that. And I only did about 7 to 8 episodes.
Okay. So In the House was on for 2 seasons on NBC. And then it got canceled and then picked up by UPN. Right?
Yeah.
Were you around when they got moved over? Were you on the UPN side, the ABC side? Do you even remember? Nah, too young?
Too young, yeah.
Okay. Well, you go and do In the House. And you do a few other things. I think you were on the show Coach.
Yeah.
You were on Family Matters, which is a pretty big show.
Yeah.
You were on the Wayans Brothers. And then you get your big role.
Right.
On the Hughleys.
Right.
What led up to you getting that role?
I don't really know. I know I auditioned for it about 7 or 8 times. It was different for In the House. I think I only auditioned for it 3 times. And they called me and was like, yeah, you got the job. Mom's is happy, Pops is happy. But for actually the Hughleys, it was like 7 or 8 auditions.
Okay. Well, it just so happens that before this interview, I was on the phone with my man DL Hughley, doing the research that I usually do, and DL decides to actually show up.
That's Pops. That's OG.
So let's go ahead and bring him in. All right. So it just so happens that DL Hughley just randomly stops by.
Right. Yeah,
Randomly.
I had no idea he was here.
What a coincidence.
What a coincidence.
Okay. So DL, you had been in the comedy game for a while.
Right.
And at that point, you had done some TV work.
Right.
But this was your first show.
Well, I'd had other shows, but this was the first show. My problem was that I didn't know how to read that good, right? So when I would go to read for roles, like they would always. So this was the first time I remember when I knew it was my show. We had this director named Peter. I don't want to say his last name, but he was like, "That's not what the script says." And I was like, "Motherfucker, it is now." And then they changed it. I was like, "Oh, okay." So I'd been on other shows. Like I was a warm up for. I saw him when I was warming up the show he was on. I used to warm up that in Fresh Prince. So I'd seen him before. I knew he was a talented kid, but this was the first time I ever had any say in the kind of things that would go on.
Right, and this was your big break as well, because I remember I looked through some of our older interviews. You talked about how when you got a check for $1 million,
right,
from was it ABC?
It was for the pilot for ABC from ABC, and I remember pulling over and because the last time back then I remember I got a development deal from CBS and it was $15,000 and I hadn't had one for a very long time, and I was with my manager, Dave Becky, and he called to tell me that they wanted the deal. And I said, "What is it, for $17,000? And he told me $1 million. I had to pull over on a one-on-one and start crying.
Right.
But what I did know is that if the pilot goes, they get all that money back before you get paid.
Okay. So how involved were you with the casting?
I was very involved. Like when DJ is talking about it took 7 or 8 times. It took one time for me.
Oh, you saw him. And
I knew instantly because he was the best actor on the set, but even hearing him now it makes sense because he was so unaffected. Like he was very unaware of how talented he was, and I wanted to exploit that. It's like one of those kids that make Nikes that they're not good there. So I was like, fuck. but I instantly knew how good he was, and it was more a question of the studio we were with. It was a studio called Greenblatt and Jerry Lawrence. We were their first show. They were a subsidiary of Fox, and it was ABC. So there were all these heads and we were gonna go on after Home Improvement. So here I am, this nigga with a family, and they were telling us basically what would work and what wouldn't. So I knew instantly who he was. So I don't want it wasn't that process was for them, but not for me.
Right, and I had a really great cast.
It did.
Elise Neal played your wife, who I had a crush on.
Right.
All through my 20s.
At 50, she broke the internet. Take that, Kardashian. At 50, she broke the internet. 50 years old. And they used a Kodak camera. They used a... I heard they used a Polaroid camera. She still broke the internet.
Okay, so here you are with, your biggest show.
Sure.
And DJ's playing your son.
Right.
Elise Neal plays your wife.
Right.
And there was another child also, right?
Yeah, Ashley Clark. She was my daughter.
There you go. How did the show start in the beginning? Was it smooth sailing or was it a little rocky?
Well, it was very, like, I knew that it would go when we were making the pilot. Mm-hmm. But I was the least experienced actor on the show. So I was the lead of the show, but the least experienced actors on the show. And so I really had to get up to speed. So I could only fuck it up. I couldn't, like, all I could do was fuck it up. So it was very smooth sailing in that we knew we made a great pilot, and they were very, but we were a urban show, and Diane English had made a show kind of like my show after I met with her and didn't go to her. So it was a lot of stuff in the zeitgeist, but in the end, once we made it, I knew we would go, and I knew it would be on for a long time. But it was, the normal network kind of stuff.
Right, and there were some really interesting kind of guest stars on the show. Sherman Hemsley from the Jeffersons.
Right.
Marla Gibbs, who we interviewed not too long ago.
And it's the Marla Gibbs. She had a club called Marla's Memory Lane, right? Mm-hmm. Yeah. And I was a stand-up, and I used to cuss. And Marla Gibbs, I think you would. Marla Gibbs were like, "You're very talented, but you can't come to my club until you learn how to cuss." I said, "Well, this is the last time you're gonna see me." And she said, "Bye." And the next time I saw her was on the set where she was playing my mother. So she basically stood her ground, and so did I. And she played my mother that on a movie too. So, yeah.
Kelly Rowland was on the show.
A bunch of very talented, yeah.
Miguel Nunez.
Very talented, yes.
From Joanna Man.
Yep.
Who was recently caught stealing from a grocery store.
No, I think it was his character. I don't think it was him.
No, it wasn't him, right? Thelma Hopkins.
Yep.
Adele Givens.
Yeah, that.
Pat Morita.
Pat Morita, yeah.
AKA Mr. Miyagi.
Well, I actually, it's funny because everybody's watching the Karate Kid, but right before 9/11, he and I played a gig in Hawaii. I was coming out of Japan. I played a gig in Hawaii with Pat Morita. And then we came in, and then shortly after that, he died. So it was, Oprah did a bit on the show. We had Billy D. Williams that did a bit on the show. It was like a lot of people would make these appearances.
Well, DJ, what was it like? I mean, you've done some sitcoms before,
right,
but this is more of a permanent role. This is the first time you're coming in with the original cast as the son of the main character. So, so tell me what it was like in the beginning.
It was a learning experience. It got serious to me right there. Mm-hmm. I would learn a lot from DL. So just hearing him right now say he had the less experience, it threw me off because I used to get a lot of my stuff from DL. I'll see him acting, doing this thing. So yeah, it got serious to me, and I can even see myself getting better on the Hughleys.
Okay, and you're a little kid on the show.
Yeah. Right.
How old were you at the time?
I want to say 4th grade, 5th grade, 6th grade, and 7th grade.
Okay. Now, your parents are on, there while you're filming.
Mm-hmm.
And apparently, your dad was no joke.
My mom was worse.
Yeah. ABC had never...
My dad don't play, but my mom.
Yeah, it was ABC had never seen a show. They had black people. I don't think they ever had niggas on their show. They had never had that before. Like, it was like we were a family.
Right.
We were a family. And I remember DJ wouldn't want to do his schoolwork, he was a kid. He was just a kid. So he would get into trouble like kids do. Like he would not do his schoolwork, or he would be fucking around, and his mother would go get a belt from wardrobe and whoop him on the set. And so the network, it's like, we're talking about ABC, like right after fucking Home Improvement. And so the network is like, hey, you can't let her, she can't, this is, So what I did was, I knew he would keep fucking up, and I knew she would keep whooping him. So I made wardrobe take all the belts off the set. So I literally said, hey man, everybody clothes better fit, because I'm not having this shit. But he was just a kid, but always a pro, always ready to work. But his mom and dad, Tyrone was thorough, a good dude, but thorough. Taria would drop, and they both worked. The one thing about it is you'd always heard these momagers and all the time, but they all had their own identities. They did what they did, and nobody tried to. He was doing his did, but his pops did what he did, and Taria did what she did, and it was they weren't glomming on him. We were just a dope family, and he was a kid that had a job, and they had their job, and everybody was a family.
All right, so DJ, your mom would literally take out a belt and just whoop you on the set in front of everybody?
No.
In the back room, in the trailer?
But she would walk me in a way where everybody just stared like, oh shit.
We knew it was there.
Yes. I remember one time, wardrobe used to start warning me. Wardrobe would find me before my mom found me.
She took all the belts.
They'll be like, DJ, your mom's looking for you. She got the belt. And I'm just like, damn.
Yeah. It would have been easier if he had stopped fucking up, but that wasn't fuck that wardrobe. How about stop being a dick and you won't get an ass whooping? But that didn't happen.
So the show aired from 98 to 2000 on ABC.
Right.
And then it got picked up by UPN.
Right.
Was there a reason?
Well, what happened was ABC bought, back then, the studio started to want to own the product. Because I remember Tim Allen had made Wind Dancer a ton of money. You remember, because studios would buy product, but this time Wind Dancer made so much money, they didn't get a piece of it, so they were going to make their own product. So what they brought, our show was going to be, Damon Williams was doing a show called My Wife and Kids, which was kind of like our show. So it was theirs. It was called Vertical Integration. So we weren't going to be on ABC, so we went to UPN. So it was more or less a case of them having the same product.
Okay. UPN's not as big of a network though as
No.
ABC.
Mm.
So was it like lower budget, less salaries? No. Same thing.
Same thing.
Okay. Was there really a difference with either one of you when you guys moved over to UPN, or just same thing? No difference.
No difference.
It was
Not
different.
to me.
It was different from. I remember when everybody, because he's such a kid. He was so young that he didn't know. But we were negotiating back and forth the studio and the network and all that kind of stuff. And then we didn't know what we were if it was gonna go to the last minute. But I remember calling everybody in and said, no matter what, I'm gonna get us to syndication. I don't care what I got to do. And I don't know why I believe that, but we did. And then it came together, and we did, and had a. You never miss. Originally, we went out to this other studio, and then that next year we came back on the same line and we're doing the same thing. So,
well, we talked about the $1 million check, the DL got. But he's the star of the show. You're one of the co-stars. Was the money good back then, or did your parents handle all of that and you didn't really know?
Yeah, parents handled all that.
Okay, but could you tell that your lifestyle was improving as the show was going year after year?
Yeah.
Okay, because you grew up in Compton. Did you guys move at one point?
Yeah, I actually grew up in Fontana.
Okay, sorry.
More than anything, yeah.
Got it.
We was just living in Compton at the time, but my dad moved us out literally when I was like 2 years old. So we went to Rancho, but then we lived in Rancho for about 3 years. And the rest of my life I lived in Fontana.
Okay. And the money's coming in.
Yeah.
The house is probably getting a little nicer.
We went from apartment to house.
To a house.
Exactly.
The car's probably got a little nicer in the driveway.
There you go.
Your school clothes is a little flyer than everyone else.
I was always fly. Pops kept niggas fly.
Okay.
Yeah.
And then ultimately the show got canceled.
yeah.
How did you guys feel when the show got canceled?
I was exhausted. Like it was exhausting. I was tired. I think, but I here's the thing. By the time it was over, I felt like we had said everything that I knew to say, and I knew that I had I love those people, and I love that said like he was my son to me, and so I got everything I could out of it, and it was just time to. It wasn't one of those things where. I remember not caring. I don't want to say not caring because that seems so ungrateful. But I felt like we had done all we could, and it was a blessing to be able to do it. We had done at the same time we were doing the Hughleys. I was doing the King of Comedy, so it was
right.
It was a whole different thing. So, I just felt like it was time to go, and that I'd really done something I was very proud of, and I had relationships that would carry me for a lifetime. So I was proud and satisfied.
I mean, was there like when they went cut during the very last episode, and did you guys know it was going to be a last episode or no?
I did.
You did.
Yeah.
you did it.
Not at all.
I did.
Okay.
I did. I knew.
You didn't tell anybody.
Well, I knew that, they were like, if we come back, and I'm like, I could have came back or could have not. I would have loved to have everybody be with everybody, but I wasn't. Let's just say this: I was shocked. I wasn't shocked that we weren't coming back, and I kind of knew it was the writing was on the wall.
Well, DJ, when you found out that the show wasn't renewed, and this was your biggest break at that point, your biggest role, how did you feel?
It was sad for me because that was my family.
Yeah.
And I thought for sure we was going to do that show till I was in high school. So it was very sad. I didn't know, he had an idea. I didn't know nothing. I had to get a call like, not picking it up. I was like, what? I was shocked and sad more than anything.
You cried?
Nah,
Nah?
I didn't do all that.
Didn't do all that?
Nah, I thought I was tough and stuff at that time. I was sad for a family, but
Yeah.
didn't cry.
Well, you hear about these shows like, Fresh Prince, in the final episode, everyone's crying in tears.
I was the warm up for the final episode of Fresh Prince, so I cried because I wasn't getting that $1,700 a week. I was like, can't Carlton do it?
Okay, so the show eventually ends, and you're doing some other acting along the way. You were, I think, in ER for an episode. You end up doing the Bernie Mac show.
Yeah.
What was it like to work with Bernie?
Bernie was smooth. Bernie, only did the show with him. I only worked with him that one time, and I think it was for a week. But I actually remember him. I was sitting by myself, something like this. I was by myself, just chilling. Bernie pulled up a chair, exactly where DL is, just to see what's up with me. And I was able to realize that at that time, like, hey, that's crazy. I was just chilling by myself, and he just came and really wanted to know what's up with me, and he hollered at me for like 20 minutes, something that DL would do.
Yeah.
So that's how I knew Bernie was real humble.
Yeah, and you, of course, were very close to Bernie.
Oh, very, very.
Such a loss, man.
Yeah, it is.
Such a loss to die so young.
But you know what? I think that, like, in the end, as sad as I am, I would have hated for a big person like that to be in these times where you can get canceled for being exactly who you are, where people, are so quick to dismiss you and malign you. And I think it would have been tough for Bernie with the cancel culture. Bernie, it would have been hard for him. So I think sometimes, as sad as it is, it would have been tougher to see what society would have tried to do to a mind like that.
Yeah. Well, you had some other roles along the way. You did Sky High, which is a Disney movie.
Yeah.
You played Ethan.
Mm-hmm.
What was it like to do a Disney film?
It was different. It was like another step up, like how
Yeah.
I did when the Hughleys. I knew I stepped up. It was like one of those. I knew I leveled up.
Okay. This was
And it was my first film.
Yeah. This was 2005. So you were how old at this time?
I think I was a sophomore.
Okay.
And I was a sophomore in high school.
Okay. It's about 14, 15, something like that.
Yeah.
Okay. And then you did like an episode of the Cold Case Files in 2006.
Yeah.
You also did Fireflies.
Yeah.
Same year. And then it seems like it stopped at that point, 2006. So explain to me why that is, because you were getting a lot of roles up to this point, and high profile roles at that.
Honestly, it just seems like that. But I really wasn't in high school because you have to have good grades. And like DL said, I wasn't with the schooling, and my mom and pops, they were separated.
Okay.
And like DL said, pops was at work. I'm ditching. You know what I'm saying? I'm not even at school. I'm really at the house with the homies. So my grades started dropping. I couldn't act. So I would go for like 4 or 5 months of not being able to act. Got to get my grades back up because my pops and my moms is on my head. So I get them back up. Then I can act again. Then I get them right back down. And you know what I'm saying? I just went through a whole little roller coaster with the grades.
I mean, hanging out with the homies, were you getting mixed up in certain shit that you weren't supposed to get mixed up with around that time?
Yeah, but nah, it's family. You know what I'm saying?
Okay.
It's family.
So there were no arrests, there were no
Nah, not at that time.
crimes, you were just, but you're the most famous person out that crew, right? You're the guy on TV. Everyone else is, your friends, but you're the famous dude. So people are looking at you like, you're the one.
Yeah, but I was kicking it with my family. You
Okay.
know what I'm saying? It's more family than friends. I really didn't have no friends like that. And the friends that we did have, they gravitated to me and my family because our family is so big. We was actually in I forgot what year it was, but we had a family reunion and the president put us for being the 3rd biggest family in the US.
Wow.
Yeah, my family is real big. So it was normal to them for me to be on TV and stuff. It was just normal for everybody.
Now, at what point did the face tattoos start?
I think I was 19.
Okay.
About 19.
And that's, a face tattoo is a big deal for most people, but when you're an actor, there's an extra level of that,
Right.
because your face is what makes you your money.
Right.
So once you start tattooing your face, it could potentially affect your roles, right?
Correct.
So what made you have that decision to start tattooing your face?
In my mind, I was done acting.
Oh, so you, at one point, you just said, I'm done.
By the time I wasn't doing my grades and stuff and I wasn't getting no more gigs, and even my agents was like, all right, we ain't messing with you. I had already put it in my head like, hey, I'm done with acting. I wasn't really getting the gigs that I wanted.
Yeah.
I wanted more of gigs like me. You know what I'm saying? And I was getting other type of gigs. So I wasn't really feeling the acting. I was doing it since I was 5.
Right, because you're typecast in a way as the kid, the little kid. But here you are, you're becoming an adult.
Yeah.
And, people have to adjust to that. And sometimes Hollywood doesn't want to adjust.
Right.
Okay. Leading up to August 26th, 2011, you and DL actually hung out the night before.
Mm-hmm.
So tell me about that.
Well, I was playing a gig in Sacramento.
Mm-hmm.
And then the club owner, I was upstairs and they said, some guy says, your son is here? I'm like, what the fuck is my son? And then it was him, and I was so happy to see him. Because, I would see Taria and Ty more than I would him, because I played places, like if I played a concert here or there, I would always see them, talk to them. But I hadn't, as a kid, so he was living his life. So I was very happy to see him, and we was laughing and hanging out. And I think I listened to a couple of tracks he had done.
Okay, because you started rapping at one point.
Right.
Okay.
So I thought it was dope to me to be doing what I love. And it was dope to me to see this kid who I love, like my son, just grow into this thing. He was becoming like this dope artist, which I thought was just a cool thing. So it's just a cool, nostalgic moment for me.
Okay,
For him, it was just hanging out with an old man, but for me, it was like,
yeah.
It was like.
But I guess you had felt that something was off.
Like to me, I think a lot of black parents feel like this, and to me, he's my kid. So every time, your kid leaves the space that you feel like you can navigate, it feels a little off. But really, something was in my spirit where I wanted to say, man, I don't want you to go. But it was just something you register, you put in your mind, and then I was like, be careful out there, and I didn't want him to go, and I didn't. But I didn't have any idea what would try. But they always say, listen to your first mind. But if I'd have said don't go, this kid, he was still gonna go. So
Right.
I based on no evidence, but. When I had no idea of what would happen, but when I found out what did, it instantly confirmed or reaffirmed the feeling that I had that something would not go right.
Okay, well, DJ, when you guys were hanging out the night before,
Mm-hmm.
did you feel any sort of uneasiness from DL, or
Nah,
you was just chilling with your
not at all.
your TV dad,
That's pops. You know, what I'm saying?
you're living life.
Yeah.
Well, you ended up in Stockton the next day, which is kind of a weird area. Stockton is like, there's really no good reason to be in Stockton.
No.
To be honest, unless you actually live there,
No.
it's in between other places that you're trying to go.
Yeah.
Right?
It's the home of foreclosures and murder. That's what the fuck it is.
We was actually in Sacramento and left Sacramento to
Right.
go to Stockton.
Mm-hmm.
And I had to find out that was the stupidest thing to do.
Okay. Now with this whole situation, I know there's certain things you can't say, you can't speak about. So I'll go ahead and speak about them. And if you want to jump in and say something cool, if not, I respect that. So on the night of August 26th, 2011, you and a few of your friends were at Shativa's Bar and Grill. The bar had closed at one point, And I guess there were some gunshots that happened down the street, which didn't have anything to do with what you guys were doing, but it sort of set the stage of a very fucked up night.
Right.
A fight broke out. And ultimately, 3 people from your side were involved in it. You and 2 of your friends, and another group of people. Now, I read through the police report, and from what the police report says is certain people claim that there are gang signs being thrown or something of that sort. And a fight broke out, and a young man by the name of JJ ended up getting stabbed to death.
Rest in peace. Yeah.
So one of your friends, Marcus McClyman, ended up getting into a fight with him. He got stabbed. I guess his friends tried to get him into the car. Marcus ended up approaching the car again, hit him a few more times. And they tried to, call for an ambulance and so forth, but ultimately his heart and left lung were punctured, and he ended up dying. There was also a woman there who ended up getting stabbed, I think, in the arm or something like that. Now, we're not going to go into the details of what happened. But when all was said and done, when everyone had left and so forth, were you aware that someone had died or no?
No.
No idea. Just another fight, and it is what it is.
Yeah, I wasn't aware until interrogation.
Okay. How long after the incident were you arrested?
Probably like 4 minutes after.
Oh, right then and there. Oh, the police were already there.
Yeah.
Okay. So you get arrested along with your 2 friends. And you start getting interrogated. They told you that JJ had gotten killed?
They was trying to play me like a rookie, talking to me and stuff in interrogation, talking in circles. And once they seen that it wasn't going nowhere, that's when they finally was like, "You're here for a murder." And I'm like, "Nah, you got the wrong person in. I need to get up out of here." So I had no idea.
Leading up to that, any arrests?
Nah.
Okay. So this is kind of brand new to you. You're not used to being in this kind of situation.
No.
When a police officer tells you that you are being charged with a murder, what is going through your mind as a young man?
Honestly, I thought they had the wrong person.
Okay.
I thought it was just a fight and then boom, you know what I'm saying? It didn't really hit me until I hit them jail cells.
Okay. So all 3 of you get arrested and charged. And there was a lot of charges. There was a murder charge. There was a gang charge. I guess they claimed that you were a blood. And there was also attempted murder of a woman to go along with it. Were you facing life in prison?
Yeah.
And you're how old at the time?
21.
How does a 21-year-old get his head around life in prison?
As crazy as it sounds, bro, it was, I don't know, it was kind of normal.
How could that be?
I don't really want to say it like that, but growing up, a lot of my relatives went to jail. A lot of my uncles went to jail. It was a family thing. The family thing was the gang bang. That's why my dad moved us out of Compton to give me a better life.
Yeah.
I just did some stupid shit and went back because I was just young. But that was like a slap in the face to my pops. Being older, I respect what he did. But that was normal. You know what I'm saying? That was real normal. To me, it was just my time to go through it.
Okay. Dia, how long after the incident did you find out what happened?
The next day.
The next day.
Right. And I should have grabbed his little ass that night. I should have. I was thinking, what, you know what it is? Because I think he's a kid. He's 21, And to me, I was never just his his TV dad. He was my kid to me, and I should have said something. And the one thing I felt instantly was guilty because I knew I knew something. Like, I can't tell you that I knew to a degree. I'm not fucking clairvoyant, but I know, like you say, Sacramento, Stockton, that whole kind of shit, that time of day, it just didn't feel right or read right. So I felt instantly that I felt a sense of guilt, and I should have done what I knew to do, even if he'd have got mad at me. That would have been. I'd rather have him not talking to me than have his name and what his parents did. People don't know he had wonderful parents, and to watch the way the world assesses black parenting by an act was in it, out of all, there were so many tragedies in that, but that was again assault on people that you knew had done the very best that they could.
How did your parents take it when they found out?
Shocked.
Yeah.
They was shocked.
Your mom cried?
Yeah. Hard. That's what hurt the most, moms.
I bet.
Yeah, moms hurt the most.
So you didn't get a bond, did you?
Nah. They said no bond.
Because you were a flight risk, or?
Nah, they just wasn't rocking with the kid.
Okay. It's a murder, no bond, that's it.
Yeah.
And then, of course, the media finds out. And then it's like, child star charged with murder. And now, the Hughley name is being,
Well, I'd done a lot of damage to the Hughley name too, so that's not.
This was nothing, right?
That's not right. Like,
this is light work.
my father, like, my son fucked up my name, and the nigga that played his son on TV fucked my name. So it was. They made this kind of connection between a guy that used to get in trouble that moved into, like, it was a legacy of that. They connected all of this stuff to the narrative that this was the natural kind of outcome.
Hmm. How long were you sitting in jail before the trial started?
Probably like 15 months.
Okay, over a year.
Yeah.
Any issues being in jail? Because you're in county, right?
Yeah.
Which a lot of times is even rougher than the pen. You got different gangs, you got different cliques, you got, you're not used to being around, a bunch of jail guys 24/7, living with them. And here you are, the former child star. So I'm sure people are recognizing you in there.
Yeah.
Any bad situations during that time?
I mean, it's jail.
Fights?
It's jail.
Yeah. Okay. You finally get your day in court. Coming into it, how are you feeling? Are you feeling you're going to beat it? Or are you feeling like, fuck, I may never leave this jail cell?
Nah, I'm real spiritual, especially at that time.
Jail will do that too now.
Yeah. Especially at that time, I was real spiritual. So even going into it, I felt like I'm gonna get out. Mm-hmm. I didn't really feel like I was gonna do forever. And who you mentioned earlier, my friend Mac. Mm-hmm. I just know what type of cat he is. You know what I mean? So I felt pretty positive about everything.
I mean, were they offering you, like, hey, listen, testify against your two co-defendants, you can go home, you can go back to your acting career?
Yeah, I was getting fan mail like that, and the DA hit me up like that.
That's what I'm saying.
Yeah.
And when they said that, what did you say?
Come on, man.
Okay.
That was too easy.
I mean, everyone thinks they're going to act a certain type of way until they actually face that situation. You know what I'm saying? Like not everyone could not fold under pressure. A lot of people do. In fact, I think most people do. Just to be dead honest. Well, leading up to the trial, DL, you actually came in as a character witness.
Sure.
Okay. Whose idea was that?
Well, I would have came anyway to go to see. But I had been in contact with his parents. And then I talked to his lawyer. But I knew that I had to, I was going to go see my son. Like, I was going to see what's happening. And I remember I was so glad to see him, but I swear to God, I wanted to choke the shit out of him. Like, that was the first thing I thought. I remember one of the first questions they asked me when we were talking about was, what do you feel? I feel like hugging him and choking the shit out of him. Mm-hmm. Because now he got us all looking like we don't know what the fuck. Like, we loved this kid. He was a good kid. And every time you see a black family in this situation, they always got to say, no, it's not like that. It's like this. And it just dehumanizes a lot of people that are good. So, and to be clear, I felt horrible for those lives. I felt horrible for what had happened. But I looked at my son, and I remember mouthing, "Did you do it?" And he went, "No," and I believed him.
Yeah,
I loved him and believed him, so there was no question for me.
Okay, and you get on the stand.
Sure.
And you get cross-examined by the DA.
Sure.
Now, one of the things that they were trying to prove was that DJ was a gang member.
Right.
He was a Blood.
Right.
You yourself were a former Blood.
Right.
And we've talked about this in our interviews.
Sure.
So they probably are making it look like, okay, this is some gang shit.
That's
one Blood standing up for another Blood, regardless of guilt.
Right. Look, I knew no matter what happened, I was walking out of there. I knew I would, but I knew that if I didn't do it right, I could make the situation worse for him.
Yeah.
So I remember one of the very first times in my life where I could say I was very measured about the things I could say, because the one thing about growing up what we did and seeing the things we did, you already know what they're doing. So it's only the punch you don't see coming that didn't. All I knew was, it's almost like when you hear about how when you're negotiating, you try to make yourself as human as possible. It was just, to me, a question of showing how human he was. Now, DJ did some shit, and I watched him get a lot of whoopings, but it was the same shit I whipped my child for. It was the same shit I watched growing up. Literally, there was no malice in his heart. His father was a thorough dude, but such a thorough dude that he knew he didn't want his son growing up in the same circumstances he did as I, for the same reason the same reason the show existed was because I moved my family out of a situation, and he was the real life personification. So it was really, a lot of it was her trying to go, they're all alike.
So DJ, what was it like to see DL on that stand?
I didn't even know he was coming.
Really?
Yeah.
So he just walked in, and you were like,
and I'm like, oh snap. And you know what I'm saying?
Your own lawyer didn't tell you this?
Nah, my lawyer, I respected him. He knew he was active. He knew he was dope. And my lawyer, he used to get a whole bunch of people getting at him, like this, that, and the third, girlfriends and all that. So I really tried to not bother him. You know what I mean?
Right. A dude just working for you to keep you out of, don't be an inconvenience.
Yeah, I'm just like, yo, God got this. It's in God's hands. And you know what I'm saying? I'm just letting him do it. So DL just walks in, and my lawyer didn't even tell me. Like, it was smooth on his part. Mm-hmm. And DL did his thing. He really helped me, and he helped my other co-defendants.
Did you take the stand yourself?
Nah, never.
Why is that? Your lawyer, was that something your lawyer told you to do, or that was something that you just would not do based on your principles?
Yeah, I'm not taking the stand.
Period.
Unless I'm telling on anything to do with me.
Did your lawyer tell you, like, if you don't take the stand, you're risking life in prison?
Nah. He already knew I wasn't taking it.
Okay.
Like, we've talked about it briefly, but he already knew I wasn't taking the stand.
Well, how long was the trial before the jury verdict?
2 months.
2 months. Were you offered a plea deal before the trial?
Probably about my 3rd month being there.
And what was the plea deal?
It was just basically, I forgot what it was, but it was just something like snitching. You know what I mean? It was just like, man.
Okay, so they weren't offering you a plea deal just they didn't say, okay, take 15 years and plead guilty, and now you actually have to tell in order to get this plea deal.
Yeah.
And without telling, you have to go to trial.
Yeah, and then the DA was real greedy. Like, she just thought she thought this was an open shut case. She just thought we were some gangsters that just happened to go to Stockton, and we wanted to just prove ourselves, and you know what I mean? But didn't end up being like that.
How long was the trial before the jury verdict?
2 months.
2 months.
Yeah.
Damn. 5 days a week?
Yeah.
Wow.
Took 2 months because of whole Christmas and stuff. We did it in November and December.
Well, when it comes to lawyers, murder trials aren't cheap.
Yeah.
People go broke trying to beat a murder. You know, OJ went broke
Yeah.
trying to beat a murder.
Yeah.
You know, he was signing autographs in prison trying to pay for everything.
Right.
How did you have the money to pay for all this?
Blessing by God. He was a public defender, but he also ran his own firm, and he was an actual lawyer, a paid lawyer. So he
was it a public defender though for you?
Yeah, but he's also like, there were certain people that I was around, and they actually pay him racks.
Okay.
So he had my public defender. He was assigned to me.
After 2 months, the jury deliberates.
Yeah.
They deliberate a long time or no?
I want to say 2 days, 2 or 3 days.
Okay.
Okay.
Were those the longest 3 days of your life?
Man, yeah. Most definitely.
Were you there for the
I was there at the close. I think I was like there at the end of the trial.
Okay. Were you nervous?
Yes, because I knew what it was past that. It was there were all these subtexts playing, you know, Hollywood kid goes bad, and you know, black. So it was all that stuff playing. So it was a very precarious position. But I can say this, and it's not, I'm not trying to be disrespectful or flip, but because that prosecutor was so craven and obvious, I knew exactly what to be, and my whole goal was to be as sincere and human as possible.
Yeah.
And I didn't even know till right now that it was a public defender, because I've never had a public defender take that big an interest in somebody.
Yeah.
So I can't say that it was that he was altruistic or that he was a star or any of that, but I know that it was a bunch of human beings in that building, and I felt like if there were enough human beings, the result would be humane.
Well, after 3 days of deliberation, the jury read a non-guilty verdict. How did that feel?
Sweet and sour.
Explain.
They got to tell me that I'm going home, but my big homie, my brother, they telling me he's staying.
That's Marcus. Okay, so you get acquitted on December 21st, 2012. Your co-defendant, Dewan Noonley, who's also, he was 27 years old, he gets cleared out of all charges. But then Marcus gets found guilty of voluntary manslaughter and the use of a knife. He gets sentenced to 12 years. It was 11 years for the manslaughter plus another year for the weapon. When you heard, were the trials combined or was there separate trials?
No, we combined them.
Oh, okay, all three. So basically, not guilty, guilty.
Boom, just like that. So it was
in that order,
sour, just like that.
Wow.
So it was a sweet and sour thing, just knowing I'm about to go home, but he has to stay here.
And these are guys, all three of you didn't tell on each other, all stood firm and didn't cooperate. Nobody took the stand.
Marcus did.
Marcus took the stand.
Like he told on himself. That's why we got to go home. If it wasn't for him, we would be in there probably.
He took the stand and admitted to the stabbing.
Yeah, he was just saying like it was all me. It was me. It didn't have nothing to do with it. Like, so stop even looking their way.
He actually exonerated the two of you on the stand, knowing what he was facing.
Yeah.
Right. And there were other witnesses as well, right? Other people were there and so forth.
Oh, yeah. They had about 13, 14 people snitching.
Yeah. I mean, it was a 2-month trial. I would assume there's a lot of people taking the stand. When you found out about the not guilty, were you ultimately relieved, DL?
Yeah, but I was very relieved, but I was sad for a lot of reasons. I was sad because people actually lost their lives. I was sad because a young man was going to jail. And I was sad primarily because I think it's just a scenario that plays itself out over and over again all across this country that just continues to tell a story or a cycle that people the reason I'm here today is because I know him and I love him, and so I'm always want to be inherently protective, and so he's doing the interview, and my thing is the same thing. Then he's a wonderful dude. He's a human dude, and he made the mistake of being in the wrong place at the wrong time, and some bad shit happened. But I think that it's sad that so many moments in our lives are just unchangeable. Like everybody has them, and ours was just. It made me so sad. I remember crying after I heard the verdict because I was so happy that he was getting ready to come home, and so sad that so many people never would, and so many lives were changed forever. And it was just, like you said, it was bittersweet.
Well, the Deputy District Attorney, Janet Smith, said, "I don't think the victim got the justice he should have gotten.
Mm-hmm.
I feel badly."
Mm-hmm.
She felt like, what, all three of y'all should have gotten life in prison, basically?
Yep.
When you hear these words, and obviously when I said it, you already know about it, you know. When you hear someone that was trying to put you away forever saying that, how do you feel?
At first it got to me. But then adaptability is my forte, and I learned real fast that's that woman's job. As crazy as that is, it's her job to put me away, whether I did it or not. So I kind of grasped that real quick, and it was like, you know what? I'm not even going to be in my feelings about it. Do your thing.
Well, the DA said that she talked to the jury afterwards, and they did mention DL Hughley's testimony. She said that she did not feel that DL's hour-long testimony swayed the jurors. And, you know, Hughley said in court that he was affiliated with the Bloods and so forth. But basically, it sounded like she was angry about what had happened. And she, although she's not saying it, it almost sounds like you got off because your famous friend got up on the stand and starstruck the jury.
How about one man who loved another boy got on stage and told a story?
Yeah.
Straight
How
up.
about that? The same. Look, we both got our chance to tell a story.
Mm-hmm.
And you got a chance to tell a story with a group of people you picked that I didn't have any idea. And you got to see him in his jail uniforms. You got to paint the scenario you wanted, and it didn't work out the way you wanted. But I don't think you didn't see. To me, star shit aside, I loved this kid. I loved him, and I loved him, and I knew him. That's all it was to me. And you got a chance, literally. And like him, I'm very respectful of her mission. Her mission is to not only do a job, but you don't just become a prosecutor to stay a prosecutor. You want other things, and your bread and butter is putting dangerous people away, putting scary people away, and nothing looks scarier than a bunch of young black dudes.
Yeah.
Or a bunch of young black men. So I understood what that was. I wasn't. To me, it wasn't about who the fuck I was or what. It's a man loving a boy who he knew, and just telling. I wasn't a witness. All I did was tell her what I knew.
Right, you weren't there.
Right, I wasn't there.
Yeah,
but
exactly.
I can tell you what I know. And to me, the one thing, and I was I was a blood when I was a boy. I used to run track when I was a boy. Nobody brings that up. I used to eat peanut butter when I was a boy. Nobody ever brings that up. So it was very sad, but it gave me a chance to see how the system is so predatory and so unforgiving. They literally stacked the decks against these kids. And I'm not saying they were innocent. I'm just saying that they were redemptive human beings. They were redeemable human beings.
All the actual charges that we got charged with, none of them stuck.
Mm-hmm.
However she came out, her game plan, to her, was just open and shut. But everything that we actually got charged with, none of those charges stuck.
Well, I mean, at the end of the day, you get acquitted. Your other friend gets acquitted. Marcus ends up getting 12 years. And, you guys spend, 15 months in jail. You go through this court, everything else like that. And all this is bad, but it doesn't hold a candle to J.J. Lewis getting killed.
Not at all.
This is all light work compared to...
It's a tattoo right here that says, "Rest in peace, JJ."
Oh, really?
Yeah.
How do you feel about this young man losing his life?
I was spiritual back then, so I actually used to talk to him.
Really?
Yeah. Every night when I pray to God, pray in the morning, I would talk to JJ too.
His mother, did she go to court or get up on the stand?
Yeah. No, she didn't get on the stand, but she used to go to court.
Did you ever make eye contact with her along the way?
Try not to.
Try not to.
Yeah. And all the COs, they actually tell you to look straight. And if you actually wander off, like, you can lose your court date.
Oh, really?
Yeah, they don't play that.
Well, you get acquitted, but JJ's mother has to think about this every single day. She has to wake up in the morning and has to think about her dead son.
Yeah.
His father has to think about his dead son. I don't know if he has brothers or sisters, but they have to deal with it. His friends have to deal with his cousins and uncles and aunts and everything else like that. If his mother walked in the room right now and sat down where DL is sitting, what would you tell her?
Respectfully, I'll try to give her a hug,
Yeah.
and basically see where she's at, because at that point anybody can take anything as disrespect, but if she had a good vibe and a good energy, I would definitely explain to her what happened. I would still apologize, and I would try to put her at ease, because all their people is saying what they said. She don't know our truth.
Mm-hmm.
You know what I mean? But she does know that her son is gone. So off top, I would apologize for that. Off top, it didn't even have to go there. You know what I mean? It didn't have to go there at all. But, they side was doing the most.
Yeah.
They was doing the most. We 3 people and we getting jumped by 16 people.
Mm-hmm.
Y'all doing the most.
You get acquitted, but as a man, you ultimately have to take responsibility.
Right.
For your role in everything that happens.
Right.
Whether it's mostly out of your control, partially out of your control, your friends do this, your friends do that. Men don't act like victims. They have to say,
Absolutely.
I put myself in a situation that I probably shouldn't have put myself in.
Right.
Do you take a certain level of responsibility of saying, I could have done things differently leading up to that night or even during that night that could have altered the lives of dozens of people and possibly left a man living instead of dead?
Mm-hmm. That's all me and Marcus do. I'll take the blame, then he'll take the blame. I'll take the blame, he'll take the blame. I feel like it's my fault, he feel like it's his fault.
Really?
Yeah, we go back and forth all the time with that.
Because Marcus ultimately got released.
Yeah, about 7 months ago.
Yeah. Were you in contact along the way? You don't want to speak about it. Okay. But now he's out.
Yeah.
What was it like to see your friend come out?
I was waiting for that for years. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
But yeah. He's out, he's doing good. He's actually going to NYU right now.
Really?
Yeah.
Wow. Okay.
He's making some moves. He enrolled to NYU.
That's dope.
Yeah.
That's dope. And the third friend?
He's doing music.
Okay. 3 of you guys are still in contact? At one point, you start getting more face tattoos. I mean, at this point, your whole face is tatted up.
Yeah.
I mean, I see your right arm doesn't seem tatted, but your left arm is tatted?
Yeah.
Your whole body?
I got some missing spaces that I need to work on.
Okay.
I need to catch up to Pops.
And the arms.
Yeah. He needs to catch up to me on the face.
The face? You don't get any face tats, Deal?
No. I think I'll leave it up to my kid.
At what point did you decide, okay, I'm going to tattoo my whole face?
was kind of early because you know that's normal to us in Cali. So I'm like 17, especially where I stay in Fontana. It's mainly Mexicans in the essays, and they tat it up. You know what I mean? So I liked it that early, like real early. But my pops and moms wasn't playing that at no 17. I had to wait until like 18 or 19 to get my first tattoo.
Okay. At what point was your whole face tatted up? How old were you?
I wouldn't say my whole face, but this half all right here. As soon as I got out, when I went in, I had about 4 or 5, but it was just spaced out. And then when I got out, I want to say a month later after I got out, the forehead, all this was hit up. And I just gradually blended this in by like, I want to say 23, 24.
I mean, when people see pictures of you and they're like, yo, this is Michael from the Hughleys, and they're like shocked. You know? 'Cause I think I remember like maybe last year, I'm like, is this your son from the show? And you're like, yeah. And I'm like, wow, okay. That's different.
Right.
I mean, when you get that kind of reaction from people, and I know you do, how does that make you feel?
Depends, because I'm normal. It's normal to me now. But it depends on how their vibe is. You know, some people come, and I've actually spoke to a older woman, and I'm thinking she's just about to criticize and go in on me. And she just flipped the whole script and was just looking, peeping, and she just goes, yo, you know what? I like how liberated you are to do such a thing. That hit me deep because that's not normal.
Yeah.
I'm used to just people saying that's stupid or whatever the case may be. Of course, the homies like it, but of course, my mom and dad hate it. You know what I mean?
Right.
I hate it.
You hate it? Well, I mean, it definitely precludes you from going into a regular workforce.
Right.
You can't really apply to a job and work a 9 to 5. It means that you're going to have to find other forms of income, whether it's entertainment or being an entrepreneur or whatever else. You know, you've chosen that role, and seems like you're comfortable with it.
It's normal.
What are the things that you're working on now?
Right now, music.
Okay.
Working on music right now, and actually, me and the sister that played on the Hughleys, Ashley Monique Clark, we keep in contact. I want to say for the last 2 months, she hit me up and she has some real great ideas that I'm going to let her talk about when she puts it out. Mm-hmm. So we've been in contact and I feel like we got something strong coming up with each other.
Right. And DL, you actually have some plans.
Yeah. If we can make this thing go, I'm going to have him. Look, to me, it's like anything else. You see these kids grow up and they do things that you wouldn't do, or you do things they wouldn't do. But in the end, they just the people that you always. He's the same kid I always loved. Only he would scare the shit out of me if he was walking down the street. But I just think in the end, I'm part of me hearing what he said right now. You know, reminds me of that thing I heard: "May the bridges I burn light my path." You know, like that. It has specificity. He was doing it for a reason. I think if you work without a net, pretty soon you're gonna either get it right or not. Mm. And so I'm very proud that it has that kind of reason to it. But like anybody else, I remember because I saw him in the joint, or when he was in the joint, and then I saw him right after. I forgot where I was playing, but he came and he had the face tattoos. So it was different. I was glad he didn't have them in court. That would have been a whole different thing. So
he had some in court.
But it wasn't like this.
Yeah, it wasn't like this.
But you did. I remember I saw your mugshot, and you did have a couple of face tats.
But
I had the LA. I had the kisses.
Yeah,
I had some stuff right. Dream Team right here.
You know, when someone loses their life, that's one of those wounds that just never heal. And you know, this kid JJ who died, he had people who care about him, and there's people that aren't going to accept the fact that you got acquitted. Mm-hmm. You know, they feel you're part of it. You know, we feel the same way about you as Marcus and the other guy. Yeah. Do you ever feel like you have to avoid Stockton, or you have to look over your shoulder that there might be some level of revenge or payback, or do you think that at this point it's over?
When social media had blasted me, some of them had hit me up.
Okay, so some of these guys have actually...
Well, actually, it was girls. It wasn't even guys.
Okay.
I don't really know. I know I tried to go see Marcus after I got acquitted. I tried to go back to Stockton and see him to, show my brother I miss him, I love him, all that. Moms was not having it. Moms called all my other big uncles and big relatives on me. Like, she did a lot. So to see that she was that worried, and I remember her having to always go down there for me. I used to tell her, like, Moms, chill, I got this. You know what I'm saying? I'm smooth. But she just always felt she had to give me that energy. So she would go down there a lot, like a real lot. So I chilled out and I listened to her. She called, like I said, she called a lot of my uncles on me. They're like, you going back to Stockton? I'm like, yeah, man, I gotta go see Marcus. Man, that's stupid, whoop-de-whoop, your mom is. I'm like, all right. So I just chilled.
Well, it's smart.
Yeah.
It's smart.
But she doesn't understand that love.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? I was really sad because I got him moved by me. So we're cellies. So me packing up, then I gotta look like this and leave my brother.
Yeah.
That wasn't smooth. You know what I mean? That wasn't smooth at all. That hurt.
Yeah.
So I couldn't really enjoy my freedom.
Yeah. Well, now you can.
Yeah, of course. Yeah.
Well, DJ, I'm just going to say one thing. That this man that's sitting next to you right now really cares about you.
Oh, he know that.
I know that.
I mean, him, like, DL was not supposed to be part of this interview until like 2 hours ago when I just randomly called him. You know what I mean? He was like, I want to come down. And not only did he say, I want to come down, but he said, check with DJ to make sure it's okay. Because maybe DJ just wants this place for himself.
Right.
Which is what we did.
Right.
Yeah.
And you were like, hell yeah.
Yeah, like that shouldn't even been a question though. Like,
but this just shows not only the love, but the respect.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah.
That he doesn't look at you as the little kid, the young boy, whatever. He looks at you as a man, like an equal. That in order for him to come down, we have to get your permission first.
This is always OG, man. This is always, you know what I'm saying? He's always Pops. I don't know about all that equal stuff, but that's Pops.
Yeah, because I was saying we ain't equal. That's straight
up.
I'll laugh through that bullshit. We're not. Okay, wait a minute.
Hold on now. You've gone too far with that.
And I was going to go with this nigga say I can come or not. Do you think I was really going
to? Straight up.
Like,
straight up.
What do you mean? What the fuck you
what do you mean
about?
I ain't coming? Fuck that shit.
I'm coming. It's just a lot of people do a lot of things. And in the end, I'm just proud. I'm deeply saddened by all that's happened.
Yeah.
But I'm proud of the man he's evolved to. I am. I just his rationale, the way he stood his ground, the way he was forthright, the way he accepted responsibility, and the way he is trying to, through his art, make amends as best you can, is all the redemption and humanity you ever hope to see in anybody who makes a mistake.
Well, DJ, man, I appreciate you coming in and sharing your story. I know this is a very dicey subject. I know that there's certain things that you can't really talk about, which is why we didn't really delve into the gory details of, the way I usually do.
Yeah, I appreciate that, bro.
You know what I'm saying?
No, I appreciate the respect.
And I told you I would do that before the interview, and that's what I did. And, man, you've been through a lot. I think in the process, you got to show the world your character and your integrity. And, a lot of people will look at you and assume one thing, but that's not what I've seen in this interview.
Right.
You know what I mean?
Right.
I saw a completely different person. Congratulations on the success that you've had, because what you've accomplished, I think, is exceptional. To be on all these shows and these movies and everything else like that, man. And I just hope all the best for you, and you still have a very long life to live. And I think we're going to see some great things from you in the future.
I appreciate all that more than a lot, man.
No doubt.
All right.
Until next time. Peace.